We know that Manchester police are investigating his deputy. There's an ongoing criminal investigation.
Oh, Richard,
well, no,
come on.
That's a fact. And I was going to ask you, it's a straight journalistic question. And as I said at the start of the show, the big question is, why no umbrella? What the heck was going on there?
Well, when you consider that will be looked back at again and again and again, Rishi's appearance, appalling.
Whose choice to be outside with no protection, knowing that Steve Bray has his speaker and playlist on standby, drowning him out with things can only get better.
Well, giving us everybody the excuse to write things can only get wetter.
Exactly, and Drowning Street and
Drowning
Down and Out. I mean, to be honest, I feel like this launch was a metaphor for how the Conservatives have governed the country for the last 14 years. It was just an absolute... It was amateur hour. And Andrew and I can both agree with that. You know, having worked around politics, there is a state-of-the-art TV studio inside Downing Street.
It cost the taxpayer £4 million.
I mean, it was completely ludicrous, completely ludicrous. I know you talk about seizing the moment. I wish he'd seized an umbrella as he sort of... I mean, it was just... I think as well it's quite kind of disrespectful to the public. I think we were just discussing the makeup room. No one's actually talking about the election. The chat going around the country is, why didn't he have an umbrella?
Yeah, I know.
Why didn't he, Andrew? I mean, who is running the comms and thought that this was a good option?
Decision, do I hold the umbrella myself or do I have somebody hold the umbrella for me, which makes me look a little bit
patrician.
Exactly. Yeah. So that would have been the debate. But he should have just done it inside or later on.
What about...
He was at Excel where he talked... he made a speech
Party faithful.
Could have done it there.
There are Tory commentators today, Tory supporting commentators today, saying that actually it was quite a shrewd move to do it. Let's look at it from the other side. That he was basically showing spirit and defiance and determination. He could stand up to the elements and make a powerful speech.
Yes, but he came up with the headlines would continue at being "What a drip."
Absolutely.
I'm afraid.
And you know what? That launch and those headlines will be studied for years in PR kind of schools, in political classes for all the... Look, an optic is so important in politics. When you launch a campaign, a picture, you know, says 1,000 words. You want to get your campaign launch off to the best possible start, and that's what everyone is talking about.
It reminds me, some years ago, which campaign was it, Aisha? Blair was in a church and he launched and he had behind him was a stained glass window. It looked like, you know, deity was coming out of the stained glass window. Exactly.
Like a halo might appear.
Pious Tony Blair, the saintly Tony Blair. It was not a good look.
I'll tell you another poor optic. When Rishi Sunak then went to Excel to address Party Faithful, Sky had a reporter there, Darren McCaffrey.
Oh, God.
But he was manhandled out. Now... You know, he's a reporter on the first day of a general election campaign, reporting on what the Prime Minister is saying, and this happens.
What a terrible look.
Terrible.
Well, is this because he wasn't registered in the pool, the official pool of reporters?
Dan's been around for donkey's years.
He's a very good reporter.
Yeah, the Prime Minister knows him very well. Everybody knows him. It's just silly. Heavy-handed louts.
But who would have made that decision to do that to him?
It'll be somebody in the press team, probably the same comms team that brought you, you know, the "Why Does It Always Rain on Me" kind of launch. But, you know, but also the bigger message that this sends out, this does not look like a Prime Minister and a team who are confident, who are ready to face the public. Come on, bring it on. They should have said all media can come in. This looks paranoid, it looks defensive, it looks weak, it looks insecure. These are not the signals you want to be sending out at the start of your campaign.
Well, so let's get away from the optics then. I think we've discussed them to death, really. Is it...
Richard, we'll be discussing them from here until July the 4th.
But, OK, fair enough. But is it, as the Conservatives would like us to think, is it all to play for in the next 6 weeks? Are we in for an exciting 6 weeks? Or is the reality is that it's a done deal and it's going to be a foregone conclusion?
I think this is about Rishi Sunak trying to minimise the scale of the defeat. I think he goes into this thinking, at best, he might be able to get a hung parliament. He'll be clinging to one conflation of the figures in the local elections, which said it could be a hung parliament, but that omitted Scotland, which is a significant area of Labour support. I think it omitted Wales too. Only the most wildly optimistic could have concluded from those local elections we're heading for a hung parliament. But Andrew, I tell you why I think he's gone now.
Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
Tell us in a minute.
Yeah.
You are a natural Conservative supporter. This morning, the Daily Mail, the home of natural Conservative supporters, you are hardly thumping a drum this morning. Andrew, your voice, your tone is low-key, downbeat. Do you not take any excitement? You're a political journalist. I can imagine you'd be full of enthusiasm.
How many elections have we had recently? We've had quite a lot.
Are you like Brenda and Crystal?
Well,
not another one.
Let's get it on. Look, I can see why he's going for it now. And there's two really big factors here. The Reform UK is a big threat to the Conservative Party. I don't think they're in any great shape at the moment. Right. I don't think they've got much money in the bank. They haven't chosen candidates in all their seats. They've had to dump a lot of candidates because so many of them were fruitcakes, to put it mildly. So he thinks he's... And Nigel Farage, the talismanic figure of Nigel Farage, is he going to run for Reform? Well, he hasn't got a lot of time to decide and find a seat. So I think that's a factor. But also, on the Labour side, the war in Gaza continues. There's going to be no let-up in what's happening there. We saw in the local elections how many... George Garraway's candidate, for instance, in the West Midlands, got 12, 13, 14% of the vote. That could prove an existential threat to some Labour candidates.
Aisha, why do you think he's gone now?
I think he's just had enough. I think he's literally just had enough. And I think he thought, look, these inflation figures are pretty good. Let's sort of use that to springboard off. I think they're really worried about small boat crossings over the summer as well. And I think they're really worried that if they let it go on until sort of August, September. But I think what Andrew and I were discussing earlier, I mean, I was in Westminster yesterday afternoon, and politicians of all parties, but particularly the Conservatives, are just shocked at the timing, because for a lot of Conservatives, they know they're going to lose their seat, but they thought they had about 5-6 months to, you know, make preparations, start looking for a new job, you know, try and sort of end their time in their constituency well, you know, leave on good terms with people. So there's a lot of disarray. And I think one of the things that's going to be really interesting is that the Conservatives have just lost half their councillors at the local elections. Councillors are like the foot soldiers of a campaign election, aren't they? They're the ones that go out and do the door knocking, they do the rallies, they all turn up en masse. And I actually think you're going to have a really demoralised Conservative parliamentary party. You've got a really demoralised set of local councillors. I think this campaign is actually going to be really moribund from the Conservatives.
Well, the poll of polls this morning says that it puts Labour on 48% and puts the Conservatives on 27%. So would you say, in effect, that means that this election is Labour's to lose? Yeah. And therefore, will we be seeing not so much a confident and bold campaign by the Labour leader, but a very cautious one? He won't want to put a foot wrong.
Well, I think, OK, cautious, because remember, there is history here. In 2017, Theresa May went into that general election, a surprise general election, wasn't necessary, didn't need to be called. She was about 22, 23 points ahead in the polls. My God, if the election had come in and gone on for one more week, Jeremy Corbyn would have been our Prime Minister, which would have been horrific. She lost the campaign. She lost it. She was a very bad campaigner. She won the election,
but she lost the majority, didn't she?
But she lost the majority.
The other thing is, Labour must not be complacent. I'll just give you a couple of stats. In the last 100 years, Labour has only had elected 4 Prime Ministers. Since 2010, the Tories have had 5 Prime Ministers. So, look, Labour is taking nothing for granted.
Well, then my question
Absolutely nothing
stands,
for granted.
Isn't it? I would like you to speculate on it. Do you think that we're going to see a very cautious Keir Starmer over the next 6 weeks?
I think we're going to see a Keir Starmer who is absolutely laser-focused on winning this election. And he will have to strike that balance between offering this country reassurance and some hope for the future to try and heal and repair this broken country, but at the same time not scare the horses. Because when you look back to 2019, Jeremy Corbyn offered all things to all people and it couldn't be delivered. So this Labour leader that we have now is going to make an offer which is bold, but it's realistic and it's achievable.
He's got a big issue, though, because all the polls show he is not cut through. He is not Tony Blair. He is not... Hang on, Aisha.
Not true.
He is not charismatic. He is not telegenic. In fact, he's dull and boring.
Except...
Perhaps that's what the
and
country wants.
Daisy Cooper saying, well, he's a serious lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure a serious lawyer is a massive winner.
He's not Mr. Personality, is he? Let's be honest.
Listen, it doesn't matter what the polls say about personality. We've had so many personalities. We've had a clown show in Downing Street over the personalities, from Boris Johnson, party boy, liar, all of that.
2019 election, Aisha, Boris Johnson won a big majority.
Because he was up against Jeremy Corbyn, who is a pudding, OK?
Well,
and basically...
a lot of people people thought Jeremy Corbyn had a very distinctive personality.
Until they went to their ballot box, Susanna.
And who was
and he drove people...
And Keir Starmer was campaigning for Corbyn to win.
And
in his shadow cabinet.
The only thing that matters is how has Keir Starmer been doing at the ballot box, Andrew? He has been smashing it at the ballot box.
Yeah. What are we going to see with Rishi Sunak? Because we can't have a drowned rat.
No, well, I think there would have been some words, I imagine, in number 10 after that performance. He is going to show, his whole pitch will be the world is in a very difficult place. Yes. Iran, Ukraine. I'm the proven Prime Minister, the international statesman. Look what I did during COVID with furlough. So he's going to be the one you can trust. That's
Do you know what? The thing
pitch.
About Rishi that I thought...
That's his pitch.
He's very bouncy.
Yes, he is.
He's got endless energy.
He is. He's Tigger.
Yeah, he is.
No, but he looked deluded. I mean, he's like a sort of children's TV presenter as he's giving out sort of bad mood. But look, to the point that... Look, I'll give the counterpoint view here. Keir Starmer might not be the most exciting person in the world, but he is a man with integrity. He's a man who's decent. He has worked so hard. He's excelled in his profession before he came into politics. Is he a man walking
towards a landmine over the next 6 weeks? We know that Manchester Police are investigating his deputy. There's an ongoing criminal investigation.
Oh, Richard,
well, no,
come on.
That's a fact. And I was going to ask you, it's a straight journalistic question. If Manchester Police come back and announce that they are taking matters further, is that a landmine with Rayner's name on it that he's going to step on?
Well, they have said, he and Angela Rayner have both said that if the police come back and find that she has done wrong, she will resign, in the same way that when the Tories tried to weaponise the police over Beergate during COVID, he said he would resign. The difference between him...
But he said on this programme that he doesn't think she's done anything wrong. He's personally convinced. So if she has, that would make him look a little bit foolish.
Well, of course it will, but they have both said... The difference between Conservative leaders and Labour leaders is if Labour leaders are found to have done something bad, they said that they would take responsibility. Do you know what this country is sick of? They're sick of shysters. They're sick of people taking the mick and people being in it for themselves.
I'm going to have to check the Ofcom list for that.
Yes,
That's what people are sick of.
Didn't you?
That's what people are sick of.
The last time the UK held a general election in July was 1945.
And that didn't go well for the Tories.
It did not.
Exactly.
Labour gained a majority of 146. In the last 100 years, there have only been 6 elections held in either June or July, and the Conservatives have won 4. So take your pick of the stats. Yeah. Angie, Aisha, lovely to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Keep your thoughts coming in. Tracy, we need a PM who will put us first for a change. Mark, I can't vote, as no political party or politicians can be trusted. Leslie, right behind you, Rishi Starmer, you can stuff it. Steve, I'm hopeful the Tories will get exactly what they deserve on the 4th of July, a total wipeout. I mean, you've got 6 weeks to tell us what you think, and then July the 4th, we all get to cast our votes. It's going to be a very exciting campaign.